Oh, this is some great stuff. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Hi, family. My name is Cynthia, and I am an alcoholic. And I really don't need this microphone, but I guess. First, I need to thank God for saving my life, because without Him, none of this would be possible. It's only by His grace and His glory that I stand here today. And then I would like to thank my family, my Glen head group, and all of you guys for teaching me how to live life one day at a time, because that's something that I couldn't do. Breathe. Before I start my story, I just kind of want to give you guys a synopsis of me today. It's kind of like when I go on a job interview, I have to give my credentials. So I kind of want to give you guys my credentials. My sober date is September 8th, 1992. I am a member of the Glen Head group, one of the best groups in AA, because I believe that every group is a good group. And I have a sponsor who has a sponsor who has a sponsor and who lives this program. And if you don't have a sponsor, I feel very sorry for you. Get a sponsor, use your sponsor. I am an active member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and there is a difference. I show up at my home group. I am the intergroup rep for my home group. I am your intergroup secretary now for the next 2 years. I am a member of the CPC committee, which is the community of professional, help me out here. It's like the H and I and the P and I, whatever. And I do these things because I want to live today, and I don't want to die today, and that's very important for me. And that's why I say that I'm an active member of Alcoholics Anonymous, because I'm very involved, and I keep what I have by staying here and by giving back what you guys so freely gave to me. Just to let you know where I came from, I come from a family of 5, and everybody in my family has this disease of alcoholism except one. And I call her the black sheep of the family. And actually, I should say she's the white sheep of the family. But you know what? I wanted to be like that white sheep. I wanted what she had. And she was my mom's favorite. She wasn't like the rest of us. She went to church, she didn't smoke, she didn't drink. And in the bottom of my heart, I really wanted to be like that. But I wasn't. I became the loner in my family and the caretaker because my dad was the alcoholic. And he was a very quiet alcoholic. He'd drink and he'd just go to sleep. And my mom, she didn't know how to deal with that. So she became very angry and very abusive. And I became like the go-between between the two of them, because she would physically abuse my father. And she would have me, because I was daddy's little girl, ask my father for things, because she knew that if I asked him, he would give it to me. And this is how I grew up. I grew up in this house where there was just no love. And I always say today that if somebody would have told me many years ago, just come to Alcoholics Anonymous and you will find what it is that you're looking for, I would have been here so long ago. Because all I was looking for is somebody to hug me, and for somebody to love me, and for somebody to say, I'm very proud of you. You did a great job. And I don't know about you, but I didn't get any of that stuff. I could cry here. I couldn't cry at home. If I cried, my mom would say, I'll give you something to cry about. That was not allowed. But you guys welcomed me here and loved me. I thank God that somebody loved me. I think about when I was like 3 or 4 and I could barely remember, but I know that I hated who I was, and I always hated the person that I was from a small age. And I think today, what could be so bad that a kid at 4 or 5 years old could really hate themselves? I can't even think about, what could be so bad. But I know it's like an inside feeling that I just hated everything about me. I wanted what you had. I wanted your parents, because my parents definitely stunk. They were no good. And I never wanted to bring any of my friends home, because who knew what they were going to walk into. Maybe my dad had fell down and he was all bloody. Maybe there was like pots flying and maybe some hot water boiling, ready to fly or something, very abusive. So I always went to my friend's house and boy, they had the life, They really had the life because their parents didn't do what my parents did. And they'd be all laughing and smiling and helping the kids with the homework and, just fun parents. And I really wanted that. But I didn't have that. So I wanted to just be different. I always wanted to be something, but I didn't even know what that was. So I began to search for that something. And I found that in alcohol. And I always remember my first one because you guys told me if I don't remember where I came from and what it was like, that I am definitely doomed to repeat it. And my first drink was on the golf course with a bunch of guys and some girls, and we were drinking Mad Dog 2020 and Thunderbird. And I should have known just by the name Mad Dog that there was going to be a problem. But I watched them when they drank. And when they drank, they got all happy. And they started smiling. And I'm like looking at them like, this was not something that I was used to. And they said to me, Cynthia, just try it. You'll really like it. Just try it. Kind of like Mikey, just try it. You'll really like it. And I did try it, but I didn't like it. I loved it immediately. That burning sensation that just went down. I hated the way it tasted, but that feeling, that burning that just kind of burned the insides out, that feeling, I loved that. But what they forgot to do is tell me that I was selling my soul to the devil. They forgot to tell me that I would lose everything that I had just to get the next one. They forgot to tell me that I would take on so many hostages in my life and ruin their life in the process. They forgot to tell me all of these things. But, it was just amazing because when I took that first drink, I had everything that I was looking for. I always compared myself to other women. They had a big butt, they had this, they had that. And I didn't have that stuff. Now I do, but I didn't have it. So when I drank, my hair got long and stuff just started growing all over. And I became this person who I thought that I wanted to be. This person that didn't feel anything, that got away from that feeling of loneliness, that got away from that feeling of just not being good enough, that got away from that feeling of just, just that hatred. And the great race was on. I ran for a lot of years, and I've done a lot of things to get to where I am today. And through that whole journey of forgery and embezzlement and prostitution and so many other things, I found out who I am today. I don't often tell my whole story, but since I have a little time, I guess I'll get a little bit into it. I think don't give me this sign, okay? Because I hate that sign. Don't do that. Just go like this or something. I always look for somebody to make me feel good. And besides looking and finding it through alcoholism, my second choice was men. And, and I need to talk about this because this is a really important part of how I got to where I am, and even in sobriety, how it has affected my life. And, I often say that I love to have men along with the alcohol. It's like hand in hand. It's like peanut butter and jelly, cheese and crackers. They just go together. And if I didn't have one, I'd take the other, but I'd prefer both of them together. But I always look for that man to tell me that, you look good. Because I couldn't tell myself that inside. If he winked at me, that meant he loved me. It was just insanity because I was just searching for something and I had no idea what I was searching for. So I went away to college to this all-girls school because I figured it would get me out of some trouble. And I went to Massachusetts. We talk about geographical changes in Alcoholics Anonymous, but what I forgot was that I was taking myself and all of my stuff with me. So I went to this all-girls school, and like a week later we found an all-boys school. We found like the after-hour joint, and we found all of these things that I had left New York for. So if you're thinking about a geographical change, take it from me, it just does not work. And I've tried that even later on, because I figured, well, maybe this time it'll be different. And you know what? It was never different. So I got married. I thought that would work. And I got married to this guy who we'd run and we'd just, drink together and get high together. And I figured a baby would help me. At 21, I got pregnant. And today I can really share how I used every single day of my pregnancy. I always wanted to stop. You know that feeling like, oh, God, just help me not to use today? I always had that feeling, but I thought that if I stopped that I was going to die. I really thought that I was going to die. I didn't know a better way. And I continued to drink because I really thought that my whole life would fall apart. I took a hostage. My daughter became my hostage. I had this kid, and I hated her. I hated her when she was born because she was going to get in my way. She was just going to take up too much of my time, and my time was very valuable. Where was I going? I was going to the bar. Maybe I was going to Brooklyn maybe 5 or 6 times a day, but that wasn't too bad, And now I had this kid, and she became my hostage. She became the person that I would take out all of my anger out on, that my frustration. She would get the blunt of everything that I was feeling, and I didn't know how to express. The same way that I had grew up in a house where no one expressed what they felt, and they take it out on each other. And here in the same house, she was growing up the same way. So I figured, all right, I can't leave her home, so I'll take her with me. And I'd take her to the bars with me, and she'd sit on the stool, and she'd watch her mother as I did my business. And if I could take the money out of your pocket without getting caught, I was really good. I'd pat myself on the back. My self-esteem was, I'd get my self-esteem from how many people would buy me drinks and who I could get over on. That's how I got my self-esteem. It wasn't an inside job like I know it is today. It just came from everything on the outside. So, my daughter was 5 years old, and I remember sitting down and playing a game. She wanted me to play a game with her friends, and I couldn't do anything without drinking because I'd be shaking too much. And I can remember running into the bathroom, the many trips to the bathroom, because she really didn't know. And I'd come back out, and I couldn't keep, a straight face. And, I was making all of these faces because sometimes with other substances you make these faces that you have no control over. And I was doing that, and she said, God, Mom, do you have to be like that? And when I talk about that today, and that feeling that I get inside, the hatred that my 5-year-old daughter felt at that time for me is the same hatred that I felt for my mother way back when. And I still drank. I still drank no matter what. We talk about you stay here no matter what. That's the way I drink. I drank no matter what. I drank on those days when I couldn't even get out of bed. And I had just prayed to God, just help me not to drink today. Help me not to sleep with some guy that I don't even know who he is. Just help me not do these things. And then someone would knock on the door and I'd forget what I prayed about. That build and forgetter that we talk about in Alcoholics Anonymous was just running rampant. I totally forgot that all the pain that I was in the night before, and waking up with some guy that, I'm like, oh my God, no. How did I get here? I thank God I'm not living like that today. It's a far cry from how I'm living today. And I was searching for a really long time. And I'm just going to get to my bottom because you guys know. You guys know what it's like. And if the pain wasn't great enough for you, I'm quite sure you wouldn't be sitting in this room. And the pain got so great. My bottom came via Nassau County Jail, and I got arrested for forgery. And at this point in my life, I had lost everything except my daughter. My husband had left, and I was living with my mom. Mom, the one that I had hated so much, but who was always there no matter what. she would ask me to write out these bills for her on occasion. She said, could you write this bill for me? And for some reason, my body would get all happy because I knew that my mind was always going, and I'm thinking, this is my chance. So I'd take a check for me. And then the next day, she'd ask me to write maybe another one, and I'd take a couple of more for me because, one is never enough, ever. And then it may not be a week later till she asked me to write another check for her, and that was just too long because I don't know about you. I had to use every single day. There's not one day that went by that I wasn't using, that I wasn't thinking about who I was going to rob to get the next one or sleep with if I had to. That was like my last resort. But nothing was beneath me. So I just took this whole book of checks and I started writing these checks, forging these checks. And being the alcoholic, I was always anticipating getting caught because one day I'm going to get busted. The same way that I'm quite sure we all think that one day something's going to happen. Well, maybe not. But I thought about it. Maybe one day I'm going to get caught and what's going to happen. But I never thought about the consequences, what could happen. So that day came when my mom got all these checks back, and I could still hear the scream. And I ran downstairs, and she said, somebody wrote all of these checks. And I'm like, oh, my God, Mom, who could have done such a thing? This is horrible. My disease that had me lying and cheating and stealing took me to the forgery department with her, filled out all the papers for her, and still said it wasn't me. But a mother knows you can't fool Mom. And I went to jail for forgery. And something happened when I went to jail. I went to jail and they stripped me of everything that I had left. And let me tell you, I didn't have much. They took my bra, they took my shoestrings, they took all of these things from me. She's got to do a lot more than that. They stripped me of everything that I had. And then on top of all that, they made me put on these ugly green clothes. And green is not my color. I have like nothing hardly in my wardrobe that's green. But the feeling that came over me, that feeling of shame and guilt, and that feeling of crossing that line that we talk about, something happened. It's almost like I said to God, okay, God, you wait right here. I'll be right back. And then 20 years later, here I am, find myself in Nassau County Jail, stripped of anything that I had left, any dignity, any integrity, nothing. I don't even know what that was at the time. But I didn't have it. And I was only in jail for half a day. So I can imagine being in there any more time than that. So I got mandated to come to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I was scared to death. And my group is pretty big, and we had my first meeting was an anniversary party. And I remember going to this anniversary party, and this disco ball is going, and everybody's smiling and laughing. And I kept watching everybody go over to this garbage can. And I'm thinking, there's the stash. Because there was just no way that people partied without drinking. I didn't know how to do that. And I went over to that garbage can. And what did I find? Soda. Soda. You know what? And I just kind of laughed at myself, and I just watched you guys. And the next day I went to the meeting. And I went to the meeting, and that think sign, you know that think sign? That was the first thing I saw, and I said, oh, my God, these people really can't help me because they don't even know that sign is upside down. Somebody needs to tell them. And I walked in, and everybody looks at you, when they've never seen you before. And I sat in the back, and then they were really looking at me. And then they started giving all of these suggestions, raise your hand, share, tell who you are, sit up front. And so I sat in the back. Come early, stay late. So I came late, and I left early. Stick with the women. Can you imagine? I'm like, I can't do that. No. But what I could do was share. And, because when I raised my hand and I said, I have 2 days today, you guys would get so happy. And you start clapping for me. And nobody ever clapped for me. Everybody always said, get the heck out of here. We don't want you here. You're not welcomed here. So you guys would get all happy, and I'd get excited. So I'd go home and I'd have a beer. And I'd come back the next day, and I'd say, I have 3 days today, and you guys would get happy again. And those shades. Thank God for those shades. But when I walked in the rooms, I had no idea what that was all about. I was doing those things because, you know what? I didn't take that first step. I did not surrender. I did not admit my powerlessness. But I didn't know that. So I came in and you guys said get a sponsor, so I got one, but I didn't call her. Or I called when I knew she wasn't home. Hi, this is Cynthia. I'm fine today. Okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. You know that stuff. You guys know. I know you probably did it too, right? And then something happened. I became my own sponsor. And my sponsor said, you know what, Cynthia? You don't need to go to that meeting today. Those people don't really know what they're talking about. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I was told later on if you got yourself for a sponsor, you got a fool for a sponsor. But at that point, I just wasn't ready for Alcoholics Anonymous. There was too much other stuff going on. I didn't think I was going to like it here. I'd see these women around, and I couldn't stick with you guys because I was very jealous. And I really wanted what you had, but I didn't know how to ask you, how'd you get that? How do you do that? How do you, not dress in all kind of, low-cut stuff? And, my sponsor saw me today, and she goes, oh, very conservative. And I'm like, I'm getting better, right? I look at her. She said, yeah, I am getting better because that was me. I figured I had to have on something real tight and low cut for you guys to look at me and for the guys to notice me. But it wasn't like that because the guys in here said, you know what, Cynthia, we'll give you a ride. And I'm like, all right, what do you want? They say nothing. I'm like, come on, you got to be kidding me. Because you guys gave to me unconditionally something that I wasn't used to. Excuse me. Something that I wasn't used to having. So needless to say, I ended up drinking again. And drinking is not a relapse of alcohol. It's not a requirement of Alcoholics Anonymous, but it does happen to some of us, and it is part of my story. And it was totally different. Some of these slogans I didn't really understand, but when I drank again, the one where they say alcohol ruins, AA ruins your drinking, I really understood what that meant when I was back out there. Because now I had a whole new family to hide from. You ever try to go in a liquor store or something like that, and there was a smiley face from AA around the corner? We're like everywhere. Today I'm grateful, but back then I was not grateful. Because it was just so hard to drink and feel good. That feeling that I had way back in the beginning was not happening anymore because I had been here, and deep down inside I knew that there was a better way. Deep down inside I knew that there was people who really didn't even know me but that loved me anyway. So it made it so much harder for me to go back to my old ways. So God's grace once again came in and grabbed me and put me here in Alcoholics Anonymous. And let me tell you, I surrendered. That feeling of surrender is a feeling that you really can't even explain unless you've totally, totally surrendered. So those of you who have totally surrendered, you know that feeling. And it's the most fabulous feeling in the world to be free from bondage and self. Man, I was the great I am. It was me. It was all about me, me, me. I know. You know what? You guys told me you don't know nothing. Sit down and shut up. For a change, I listened. And I got this sponsor who was like a drill sergeant. I was scared to death of her. Somebody said, if you really want to live, you're going to ask her to be your sponsor. And I followed the finger, and I found this short woman. She didn't even look, I don't know, she was short. She had on these big baggy jeans, baseball cap on backwards, and she just looked tough. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't think I can ask. And the guy said, oh, no, you will ask her. And I went trembling up to this woman, and I said, will you be my sponsor? She said, what? What did you say? I said, will you be my sponsor? And she didn't say anything, and she just kind of looked at me, up and down, just looked. She says, you better call me every day. I said, oh, okay, I can do that. And then I walked away. Wrong idea. Then she says, where you going? I'm not done yet. So I came back like just trembling because I was so afraid. And I don't curse or anything like that, that's for the street. And I said, she said, if you want what I have, no, she said, this is my train to recovery. And if you want what I have, you better hop on because I'm not making any stops. I was not that well. You can't really talk to a newcomer like that because we're real sensitive when we get here. And I looked at her. Let me tell you, I love her to death. She's not my sponsor today, but I love her because I needed somebody to give me that tough love because I used really hard out there. I needed somebody to kick my butt. I was like a piece of gum on her shoe. She says, if you want what I have, you have to do what I do. So how am I going to know what she does if I don't spend any time with her? I was so grateful for her because she helped me to build the foundation in Alcoholics Anonymous. If you don't have a foundation in here, I don't know. You need a foundation here. Then I got a commitment. Let me tell you, newcomers, get a commitment. It will do wonders for your self-esteem. I was bringing cookies to this meeting. And you know how we love cookies. I don't like chocolate chip cookies, but I knew everybody else did. So I would bring these cookies to the meeting, and I would put them down all nice, and then I'd run and I'd hide because I knew you guys were going to talk about me or something. And I'd just wait, and then somebody said, oh, my God, who bought the cookies? And I came out, I said, I did. And you guys got so excited. I couldn't wait to come back the next week and bring more cookies. Whatever keeps you coming, just keep doing it. Don't stop doing it. I tell my sponsees this thing is like riding a bike. You get on and you keep pedaling no matter what, because if you stop pedaling, you're dead. I was going to say that when I first got up here. Please turn off your phones and beepers, because it's very distracting. So when you're sitting in a meeting, even if it's your home group, please turn it off. Now, where was I? Where? Oh, yeah, pedaling. See? I know. See, my girls help me out, thank God, for women. Yeah. We got it going on, right? I couldn't say that 8 years ago because you guys was B's and S's and you were going to steal my man if I had one. Anyway, I came here and I got busy. And that sponsor who I first had in the beginning got me to be busy. And I hear a lot of times the newcomers saying that they're bored in AA, that there's really nothing to do here. When I was drinking, there was really nothing to do either. You know, if I really think about it, there was really nothing to do. And that sponsor who was like a drill sergeant, I made the mistake of telling her that I was bored in AA. 2 weeks later, I found myself involved in this AA. I'm thinking, oh, my. But let me tell you, it got me involved. You know, I love AA, and I cannot stress the importance of the unity. We need unity here. I mean, I see people just come in here and they get this thing and then they leave. What if everybody did that? Where would we be? Please don't leave. I need the old timers to show me the way. I thank God for the old timers for keeping the doors open. And thank God for the newcomers. So this way we can show you that there is a better way. But if everybody comes in here and does their own thing, we're screwed. Basically. So I kept coming and I got involved and just stuff started happening. I started changing. Because you guys said nothing changes if nothing changes. If I came in here the same old person doing the same old stuff, I'm going to get what I always got. But I really wasn't that good yet. Because I came in here and I was still stealing. Because I couldn't let that go. I was working in this laundromat. And the guy made a mistake of giving me the key to the quarter machine one day. That quarter machine on the wall, there's a lot of quarters in there. And I would steal these quarters. I don't know why. I just needed something. And I would steal them, and I just like a fiend, stuff in every pocket. Then I had to go to a meeting. Oh. Once you have been in AA, something happens. I call it that stuff inside that your stomach just starts gurgling and just you're doing the wrong thing. You better tell somebody. Ugh. And I had to tell on myself. Because I didn't want to live that way. But I needed somebody to give me some direction. I was still sleeping around when I got here. I would go to the sober club and I'd be on the dance floor with some guy. And if he was getting all close, all right, honey, let's go. In recovery. Because I didn't know how to say, I don't really want to do that. All I knew how to say was yes. Okay, yes. But I really wanted to say no, but I didn't know how to say no. So I'd find myself in the car with some guy and then wondering, how come he's not calling me the next day? In recovery. And I can remember the pain being so great. Just felt like I was drinking. That pain that we feel. And my sponsor would say, when the pain gets great enough, you're going to stop. Well, what does that mean? The pain is great. And she'd say, it really isn't. Because if it was great enough, you'd stop doing what you're doing. Today, I know what that means. Today, I know what it means when the pain gets great enough. That I need to make a change. I have this wonderful sponsor in my life today. I always promote sponsorship. Because without my sponsor, I don't know where I'd be today. Because she has shown me the way to a better life, along with everyone else in here. Along with the women in Alcoholics Anonymous. A man can't teach me how to be a woman. A man can't teach me how to be a mother. And all of these things I didn't know how to do. You guys showed me how to love my daughter. When I got here, my daughter was 10 years old. All she knew was a mother that used and abused alcohol and other things and people and situations. And you guys taught me how to, stop yelling at her and just talk nice. I could come in here and sound all good and stuff, but the bottom line is how you really living on the outside. Do I take what I learn in here on the outside? It's easy to be nice in AA most of the time, until we get to a business meeting. Then all kind of stuff starts happening and flying. But I want to live exactly what I am right here. And you guys show me how to do that here. There's no other place in the world where you can go and get what we have. Sometimes I can walk into a meeting and somebody just hugs me. And that's all I need to help get me out of that crap I was in a couple of days ago. It's all about change, and it's all about being different. And it's all about being there for the newcomer and the old-timer, because they need hugs too. Right? Right, Fred? They need hugs too. We have to pass on this message. Today, my life is totally different. I am not that person that used to stand on the corner and sell her body for $5. I am not that person who was forging checks and lying and stealing and cheating and all that stuff. I'm not that person today. I am. You know, I could go to work and, you know, they're amazed. They can't believe that I was that person. They're like, you're kidding. I can't even imagine you like that. You don't look like an alcoholic. Well, what does that look like? And I am so grateful for where I am today. That daughter, who is 10 years old, is now 18. I remember her giving me my first year coin. She came to meetings with me my first year, and she stopped coming. I don't know why, but she stopped coming. And today she is this beautiful, beautiful child. Beautiful child. And I love her to death. I come from this mother who despised and hated this kid. And today I love her. I can say that. I can sit down and have a conversation with her without yelling at her. That's a miracle for me. She wrote her college essay about me. What it was like to have a mother with this disease of addiction. What it was like to come home and watch her mother drink herself to death. Every time I walked out the door, what she felt, like I was never coming back. Who knew? You know, we think that they don't know, but they really know. You know, and I read this thing, and I read this thing, and I read the end where she talks about me being the mother that she's always wanted. In recovery. These are the gifts of recovery. This thing is a gift. It's not a joke. You know, all of these little things on the side, the boyfriend, the car, you know, the insurance, the real license plates, and, you know, you know that stuff we used to do. All of that stuff is a gift. You know, and I call it like the add-on. You know, we add on stuff at Red Lobster. You can add on like a lobster tail or add on this, add on that. These are gifts of recovery, which was not promised to me. You guys said, if I come in here and not pick up the first one, I'm not going to get drunk. You know, you guys said, it's the first one. And if you don't think it's the first one, try getting drunk without it. If you really think about it. And I have this friend who used to say, just tell him you're allergic to alcohol. You know, and he'd explain it to me. I'm allergic to alcohol. I can't drink. Because when I drink, I break out in spots. Like Brooklyn and the Bronx and with men I don't even know. All of these things. You know, I mean, I'm like sweating up here. Because I get excited when I talk about recovery. Something happens to me. It's almost like Sybil. You know, it's like I come in here one person and then God just comes in and does his thing. And then I get tired. Because I love recovery. I cannot tell you guys how much I love recovery. I mean, it just pours out of my skin. And I love life today. I love living. I love being the example of the power of Alcoholics Anonymous. Please be the power. Stay in the solution. Please. We need all of you guys here. Well, Mike's over there praying because he's coming next. I love you all. I thank this group, the Sunrise Group, for believing that I have a message to carry. You know, my sponsor always said, if I touch one person, my job is done. I thank you guys for believing in me when I couldn't and didn't know how to believe in myself. Today, I believe in myself, and I also believe in you. Thank you for letting me share.